Good evening, party people, and welcome back to the Bar with an X. My name is Cameron with an X. I'll be your bartender this evening. I see everybody out there popping in early. I see Z Ninja. I do remember you. I do, because you were here during one of the streams. And how could we forget a regular at this bar over here? And I see Nightmares as well. Hello to the early birds. I've got some special treats for everybody tonight. The special treats are drinks inspired by some of our favorite characters from personally some of my favorite characters from Undertale, including that guy up there who's looks a little funky now that he's in glass form. This is gonna be fun. So what I've got planned for y'all this evening is an evening of drinks all inspired by Undertale. I've been working on a couple of these recipes, or a few of these recipes, throughout the past month or so as we've been going through the game, jumping into the universe, and for all intents and purposes, getting real engrossed in everything else going on here. Since what we do here at the Bar with an X is create cocktails inspired by our favorite video games, such as Undertale, for example, I'm pushing the curtains closed on this one and moving on to a completely different drink. I'm gonna do a little spiel here first, but if you got guesses on what that next game happens to be, I have been leaving hints in a variety of different locations. Feel free to let me know. I'll be revealing them in like the next 5 minutes or so anyways. Nightmare saying Sans drink. Oh, there's a Sans drink too. Tonight, what I've got in store for y'all is a drink for Papyrus, a drink for his brother Sans, a drink for Flowey, the flower, a drink for the Amalgamates, as well as one inspired by not necessarily a particular character in the game, but rather something that you can kind of find if you go deep into the lore. And it's a drink that I'm calling Dark, Darker, Yet Darker. The character, if you had to assign it to one, might be W.D. Gaster, which could be Sans and Papyrus, depending on what theories that you ascribe to. It's a very interesting thing, it seems. Hollow Knight, maybe? Maybe. That's a valid guess. The Ninja is saying Sans is more dead than Flower now. It's true. Well, actually, we killed the Flowey, too. We done just sliced the flower, like, right down the middle in a variety of different ways, and it was just beautiful. Wouldn't the Amalgamate just be milk? Why would it be I mean, it could be milk if you want it to be. Maybe the Amalgamate is actually just, it's regular cow milk plus goat milk plus almond milk plus oat milk plus coconut milk. It's just all the milks together. And then like, I don't know, some weird milk in there like, like milk of magnesia, which is, I think, pink and meant for like stomach ulcers or something. I don't know. I've never actually had milk of magnesia before. I think that's supposed to be pink. It's like Pepto-Bismol, I'm pretty sure. Valid guesses so far. So actually, I'm just going to reach to my left, your right over here, and grab one item that I thought would have just given the whole thing away. This is a rupee, and this rupee is from the Legend of Zelda series. And although I wish I could probably pull up the graphic now. I'm not going to bother pulling it up. I'm going to play Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time next, a game that I never actually played. I've never played Ocarina of Time before, and so by the power of emulation and the power of the modern computer gaming system, I'll be able to play it right here from my bar. I do not have original hardware with me. It's so prone to errors. Maybe. I don't really know. So I'll keep that over there. So, to the people who popped in here and streamed first, you're the first ones to know, aside from the various people I've definitely potentially spilled the beans to over the last, like, couple weeks or so. But the official announcement will come out in about 2 hours or so on the social medias and stuff, so you heard it here first. And that's what we'll be starting on Monday of next week. And I'll gotta have a whole cocktail collection for y'all as well, too. Did Toriel make the goat drink? There was a Toriel drink, and the Toriel drink was kind of a butterscotch cinnamon, not quite pie, but there was a butterscotch cream on top of a cinnamon flip drink down below. I think that's what the recipe was. If y'all are looking for any past recipes, I would encourage you to go to the XBLOG, the X blog on my Cameron with an X website. But it's actually not there right now because I'm incredibly behind on all of my blogging with an X. So I am trying to catch up on that. I'm not doing a very good job of that, but alas. I saw that short. Cool. Very good. I think everything winds up becoming short. Actually, that's a better idea. Just go to the YouTube channel. There's a bunch of shorts there. If you're on the Twitch side, you're at a loss, because there are no shorts like that, and I'm too lazy to make clips because clips don't equal discovery on Twitch. Although it might, because they changed the whole thing up now. So, anybody else out there? I appreciate everybody's patience. Let's get things started over here. So, although I only have the capability to display one recipe at a time up here, I will actually be making the Sans and Papyrus cocktails at the same time so that the brothers can stand next to each other. So what I'll do is I will take one of my shakers, another one of my shakers, move my microphone out of the way a little bit, just a little bit, and I'll wind up building both drinks in these glasses over here, and they should come out looking more or less the same, but with vastly different ingredients. So I've got my I've got my Sans cocktail down here on my little iPad, my little cheat sheet, and then you guys have the Papyrus cocktail. And I'll make sure to share everything after the fact. I'll switch it like halfway in between when I start doing those ingredients. You don't necessarily need to build them at the same time, but if you want to do these types of tricks, this is the place to be for it. So I'll start things off by describing the Papyrus cocktail. What I'll do is I'll walk y'all through the recipe first. We'll put all the ingredients together, we'll give them a taste, we'll give them a look-see, and then I'll kind of give you the background of how these recipes actually came to be after the fact as we move on to the other drinks that we have tonight. There's a total of 5, 2 including Sans and Papyrus. So I think I'll put Papyrus on this side, because this is number 1 from your guys' perspective. So that's what we'll do. And I'm gonna take all of my liquid ingredients and put them into my smaller tin. My bigger ones, I'll put some ice over here and let those go for a little while. So first what we're gonna need is, both of these are shaken cocktails. Both Sans Papyrus are both shaken. So I need some ice for one of them. I'm gonna fill up both of these with ice. It doesn't really matter if the ice begins to melt. You don't want it to over dilute. You want things to come up to temperature, but if there is any water left over, I'll wind up just dumping out the water into this little bucket behind me. The bucket's name is Taylor, actually, before we actually combine the ingredients together. I'm just gonna get a wad of ice in there. Depending on how fast you want dilution to occur, you can use smaller ice for faster dilution, faster temperature differential, or bigger ice if you want it to, you know, not do that. Do the exact opposite. And I got my glasses in the fridge as well. Ninja says, imagine some whipped cream with monster dust on the Sans drink. I appreciate everybody trying to make some ideas of what these drinks might be. There's no cream on these ones. The make that you see over here is more or less similar, but also kind of not to the other one. But whipped cream, I admit, I got the whipped cream maker, and that thing's awesome. That thing is so, I cannot wait to figure out more incredible ways of using that thing. So the first ingredient we'll add for Papyrus is 1.5 ounces of a clarified papaya juice. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll do the alcoholic ingredients first. So first, for Papyrus, we'll add some white rum. Just a base white rum. 1.5 ounces is about 44 milliliters for our folks across the pond. Let me grab one of these things. 1.5 ounces, or about 44 milliliters of white rum for Papyrus. Because I don't want to get things too out of order, I'll describe how to do the Sans things next. I'll put Papyrus ingredients, then Sans ingredients. We'll shake them both at the same time. We'll strain them more or less both at the same time. And then the editor version of me will do all the fancy magic and whatnot later on. Sebastian says, I forgot there was a live today. It's Wednesday, my dude. So says the frog. Welcome in, Sebastian. So next what we're going to add to our Papyrus cocktail is 1.5 ounces of a clarified papaya juice. If you don't get the reference, I feel sorry for you, because you should get the reference. Where's my papaya juice? Oh, there you are. It's up on the top level. It is papaya juice that has been clarified with pectin, or otherwise just kind of left to separate on its own. I'll go into some more details on that later. But you need 1.5 ounces, or about 44 milliliters of clarified papaya juice. My goodness, what a smell. Papaya juice. Papayas in general have such an interesting smell to them. Oh my goodness. I would not recommend keeping that in your refrigerator for any longer than it has to be, let alone exposed to air where your nostrils can breathe. So I'm gonna put that back in the fridge, completely sealed, so I don't have to smell it again, at least for a little while longer. The next thing we need is, I have to go back into the refrigerator. I need oat milk orgeat. Oat milk orgeat. Oat milk orgeat. Orgeat is like usually an almond-based, like kind of cream-type spirit, either fortified with spirit or without. Usually you can make orgeats with some nut milk of some kind, pistachios. You can use almonds for that. This one, in this case, uses some oat milk that we had in the fridge, combined with a little bit of things from rose water, vanilla extract, and what was the other thing in this? I have it in my notes. I'll go through it later when I'm covering everything in details in a little bit. Fried snow. Fried snow's a good idea. Nightmare fried snow. I've seen that before. We had at my fraternity, we had deep fried Fridays. We'd fry anything that you brought us. It was quite the time. So we're gonna add 3/4 ounce, or about 22 milliliters of an oat jar, or an oat milk orgeat, depending on how you provide it. Mine's a little bubbly, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. So make sure I got everything in there. That's all we need of that. Interestingly enough, what was it? I think Snow Piece in Undertale at least. I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with Undertale. I'm now very familiar with it, having played it all the way through in the Genocide and the Pacifist route. I don't know everything, but I do know that the snowman, you can take pieces of him, and that would have made a pretty good drink. Just take ice or snow and just like let it melt. And that's the snowman piece. That's all it is. Ninja says, when Kara drinks swimming out. There are no Kara drink. Personally don't have a recipe prepared for Kara, but that doesn't mean that there won't ever be one. We might come back to Undertale one day. I don't know. Depends on what the people say. So next we've got our Clarified Papaya juice. We've got our white rum. We've got Oat Milk Orgeat, or about Orgeat, if you will. Next we're gonna add a half an ounce, or about 15 milliliters of Creme de Cacao. Or Creme de Cacao. Creme de, nyeh. Creme de Papyrus. I don't know. Half an ounce of that. Is this a half ounce mark? 3/4 and half. There we go. A half an ounce, or about 22. No. Half an ounce, or about 15 milliliters of Creme de Cacao. We need one more thing in here. Undertale's favorite. No kidding, Ninja. What's your favorite part of Undertale? What is your favorite song? Here we are. I love this particular song from the game. It's awesome. I believe this plays in the True Lab. Next, we're gonna add 1/4 ounce of lemon juice. I have one of my lemons from the freezer that's been de-thawed, and now it is very, very juicy. So I'll give that a quick slice and a quick juicing, and then we'll be well on our way. Go back over there. I'll wind up putting any of the juice, any of the fruit that I don't wind up using. I try to go back for and freeze it and use it in something else later. I'm still getting better at that. And I need a 1/4 ounce. This jigger doesn't actually measure a 1/4 ounce, but this guy does. Very juicy. There we go. And at some point I plan on making some super juice, which I haven't had the pleasure of making yet. Getting there though. I'm collecting the ingredients as we speak. 1/4 ounce, or about 7 milliliters of lemon juice. If you've got it freshly squeezed, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. You do what you gotta do. Ninja say, welcome to the underground. How was the fall? That's how the one song goes. Death by Glamour is a perfect one. Is this what Papyrus drank before he gave Frisk all the puzzles? I feel like Papyrus just drank spaghetti. Like, just spaghetti. Like, if Sans drinks ketchup, Papyrus gets spaghetti, right? That makes sense to me. So I've got all of the ingredients for Papyrus in this container over here. So what I'll do is I'll bring us to the next recipe, and I'll tell y'all how to make Sans. How to make Sans from Undertale. This one is similar, not quite the same, as the Papyrus drink. It's a little bit different, with a little bit different ingredients. So to create Sans, we're gonna take 1.5 ounces of a spirit known as Soju. It is a rice-based spirit that's distilled in Korea, I believe. As opposed to like sake, which is fermented, and also as opposed to, what was it? What was the other one? Oh my god, Shochu. Shochu would be the other one. So we'll add 1.5 ounces, or about 44 milliliters of Soju to Sans. And we'll put that away. Papyrus drinks marinara. That's a good idea. Well, now you're just thinking logically. If you think logically, he will also drink things that are made of liquid, which I guess you could consider marinara to be a type of liquid in a certain form, in a certain train of thought. I would agree with you. For Sans, up next, we're gonna add a 3/4 ounce of tomato water. Tomato water can also be made with the addition of pectin. Pectin can be helpful in situations like those. My tomato water is more or less clear. It seems that there's a couple particulates floating in there. That's probably just the rest of the tomato that I just didn't properly strain out. We're gonna need 3/4 ounce, or about 22 milliliters of tomato water. If your tomatoes wind up turning clear, you've done something right. If your tomato clear water tastes like sour and bubbly, you might have done something wrong. But that's fine. Let's try again. Tomatoes are cheap. At least the tomatoes I was buying was really cheap. I'm making myself a Radiance drink, the Hollow Knight drink. Actually, I remember Nightmares. When you came in here the first time, you were talking about making drinks for Hollow Knight. I love that. I love that. I'm glad to see that I'm not the only person creating video game-inspired cocktails out there. Totally Not Gabriel is back in saying hello, and yet for some reason, I still think it's actually Gabriel, but who am I to say? ketchup pasta and marinara burger would be what Papyrus would be drinking. So the next ingredient we have for Sans is going to be a half an ounce of a honey syrup. I'm finding myself going to my refrigerator a lot. It was fun. It was fun to make all of these different ingredients. Honey syrup's really easy. You just combine honey and water together. Let's do a half an ounce, or about 15 milliliters of honey syrup. To Sans. Sans is over here. Hello there, kid. Welcome in, kid. Is that and singular bit? How kind of you. You didn't need to do that. But you did. And for that, we're thankful. How's everybody doing tonight? If anybody else is drinking along, by all means, feel free to share what you're sipping on. Personally, I'm sipping water for now, but that is going to change rather quickly. All right, so we've got everything except for Greek yogurt and a little bit of saline solution. Saline solution is easy to get to, so I'm gonna do that first. Let's do 2 drops to Sans of a saline solution. You honestly don't need much more than that. If you do, things might get a little too salty, and tomato water itself is savory enough on its own. Finally, we'll need some Greek yogurt. Is that a teaspoon or a tablespoon? That's a tablespoon. You need half a tablespoon of Greek yogurt. I've got Chobani. Your mileage may vary. I'm gonna try to get a nice clean half a tablespoon. And then just like, maybe a little bit more, because some of it's gonna stay on top of the full spoon here. Get in there. Yeah. Get in the bucket. We don't want you anymore. And I would say I'll eat this Greek yogurt later. I'm probably not going to. It was cheap. I see Nightmare saying, I feel the sun, the radiance, the beautiful radiance of the sun. So now what we've got are 2 cocktails, one inspired by Sans, one inspired by Papyrus. Sans, the ingredients that you see before you, this container here has 1.5 ounces or about 44 milliliters of Soju, 3/4 of an ounce or about 22 milliliters of tomato water, a half an ounce or about 15 milliliters of honey syrup, and then a half a tablespoon, or about 7.5 milliliters of Greek yogurt and 2 drops of saline solution. In the other container, we have Papyrus, not yet readily mixed yet, which contains 1.5 ounces or about 44 milliliters of clarified papaya juice, 44 milliliters or 1.5 ounces of white rum. We have 3/4 of an ounce of an oat milk orgeat, or an oatja, if you will. We also have a half an ounce, or 15 milliliters, of creme de cacao, and finally 1/4 ounce, or about 7 milliliters, of lemon juice. Both of these cocktails are going to be shaken, and they're going to be double strained over into their specific glasses. So I'm gonna take the water that's definitely collected at the bottom of these shakers as the ice has come to temperature. That was quite a bit of it. And then we'll get to shaking. Totally Not Gabe says, is that sand from the Undersales? I think my phone is lagging. No, I'm probably the one lagging, dude. We're all over the internet right now. All over the place. Alrighty then. Let's combine these together. And then we'll get the cocktail audio out. My lips don't match up with the audio. No way! Are we having audio stuff again? It's very tedious. You should send these recipes to Grillbees. I wish Grillbees would listen. So it says the lips do not match up with the audio. Oh, let me see about that. Everything looks okay on my side, but I will make a note of that. I appreciate your feedback there, Gabriel. All right, let's get things together, right? We'll combine liquids into solids 1, then liquids into solids 2. I'm gonna try my best not to get these 2 cocktails mixed up, and even if I did, it's very obvious which one is which. And we'll shake the both of them. I've been practicing that one. I'm gonna bring the cocktail angle over and get our glasses. Come here, guys. Come on over, y'all. Oh, excuse me. At least everything looks pretty, right? So, on side number 1, the left-hand side, we have the great Papyrus. Oh, you're not in the right spot. Come here, buddy. We'll tilt you this way. Just a tad. There we go. Oh, everybody can see things now. Oh, man. Papyrus, what are you doing? What are you doing, my guy? Here. There's Papyrus. Let's get Sans, shall we? Hello, bud. Hello, buddy. Can we even see you down here? You are so tiny. Oh my god, you're so tiny. Let's pull you down a little bit. You can't even see the lad. Oh my gosh. Sans drinks heals 1 HP. Once you're done, use it as a weapon. Just break the glass. Somebody like earlier this week said Molotov cocktails. I freaking love that vibe. All right, are y'all in the middle? Y'all are indeed in the middle. All right, everything is all lined up. Let's go for it. We have Papyrus on one side. If you want to dislodge yourself, it'd be really cool if you did. Appreciate you, Papyrus. Thank you very much. Put you down there. Grab ourselves a strainer. And we'll double strain Papyrus. We're gonna double strain both of these, by the way. Oh, Papyrus, your wash line! Your wash line, my guy! How dare you? How dare you, Papyrus? How could you do this to me? And then we'll also double strain Sans as well. After we dislodge him. I remember that was Frio, the Molotov. Was that Frio who said that? The cold one, they say. There we go. And now, let's strain Sans, shall we? Sans. Sans Salwi. Sans Salwi. Oh, that smells great. Smells good for once. Oh, Sans, why you dripping? How's Sans' wash line? Both of these guys' wash lines could be better. That's the bartender's fault. Stupid bartender. Doesn't know how to bartend. He's a fake bartender. Get him out of here. And this is Sans and Papyrus. 2 cocktails from Undertale. You'd think if you didn't have the glasses in front of you, you might not be able to tell, but I can tell because they both smell completely different from each other. So let's break that down, shall we? Let's take things off this angle and go back. Let's taste them both. I'll taste Papyrus first. Let me preve. Let's go back to Papyrus. We'll taste Papyrus first. Both of them have very nice heads on top of them. Appreciate that. At your cocktail angle. Get out of here. Papyrus. Smells lightly of... But the thing you're sipping. I'm sipping all right. You damn well I will. Papyrus smells mildly like papaya. And if anybody doesn't know what papaya smells like, it's kind of like a cantaloupe melon, but a bit more dog food-esque. And that is not a criticism. That is, I say that endearingly, that Papyrus kind of smells like dog food in the best of ways. Papyrus and Sans made both with glass, both have 1 HP this time because Sans can't dodge because he has no legs. But you miss because he's short. And you completely underestimated or overestimated how tall he would be. Ooh. Ooh. Papyrus, you taste better than I thought you did. That's wonderful. So there is, for Papyrus, a nice sweetness that is very, very forward on papaya flavor. Papaya flavor is also kind of cantaloupe-like, but it's also a little bit, just a teensy bit like savory in the way that some meats are savory. Not like mushrooms, although mushrooms did pop into my head. There is the subtle flavors of cocoa, just a little bit, that honestly serves to make this taste even more like papaya. When I was workshopping this, papaya itself, when juiced, has a very particular flavor to it that is enhanced by creme de cacao. That's something I stole out of a bartender book called, I think it was the Cocktail Codex, or it might have been Death & Co. But overall, it's kind of, it's forward on the sweetness. It's not too sweet, because I think some of that lemon juice is kind of dialing things back a little bit. I'm going for another one, actually. It sits very comfortably. There's like a hint of something else in there, like a sweetness that isn't quite the papaya, but it's coming from that orgeat, that oat ja, which is a little bit of that oat milk texture, slightly. I'd say it's actually kind of dry, all things considered, but it's dialed back a little bit from that oat ja. Yeah, that's pleasant. Your mileage is going to vary depending on your papaya, how long it's been sitting for, how fresh it is. I was doing workshopping, so this is not the freshest clarified papaya juice that you can get, but it's close enough. And it's nice and bright. It's brighter than I remember it to be. It's not as sweet, but your mileage is going to vary. And if you want, if you have papaya puree left over, you can make muffins from them. And I did. They're actually pretty good. I see Ninja saying, Papyrus in the drinks factory. Sans in the high heels store. I got the high heels somewhere. Metaton is around here somewhere. I just don't know where he went. Gabe says, the drinks have the skeleton's face on them. Of course Papaya's drinks have papaya. It's Papyrus. It's a joke. It's a pun. And you know what we do for puns around here? It's new. Puns are cool. I think puns are cool. And of course, that's what we do. Papaya, Papyrus. Papaya, Papyrus. So a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of background of how Papyrus, actually before we go into that, before I waste my time and make Sans taste any differently, I'm gonna get Sans. I'm gonna show y'all what Sans tastes like. Cause Sans is an interesting one. If you didn't catch already, Sans has tomato water in them. You can guess why. I bet you'll be spot on. Sans smells very floral, oddly enough. There's a particular floralness and lightness and fullness from the soju that I can smell right off of Sans' head. Yes. Oh my god. You can taste the tomato from the tomato water in Sans, but it's not too overpowering. It is sweet in a way that ketchup is sweet without the astringency and whatnot of, I believe, the vinegar that they use inside of ketchup. Instead, it is a sweet tomato. And the tomatoes that came from it, they're not sweet potatoes. They're not little cherry tomatoes. They're just tomatoes that have been left to strain a little bit. The honey honestly gives a beautiful backing to the tomato flavor, which is exactly what you think it is. It is lightly floral, it is savory, and it is full on flavor. It is very, very difficult to piece those things apart. And then the Greek yogurt, on the other hand, in addition to that tomato water, offer a sort of sour base with which the soju combines everything together and really brings everything up to the point where it's a very, very pleasant sipping experience. Although it honestly it's not too complicated. It's very, very one-noted, despite everything that went inside of it. And it was very, very difficult to get that to be. But I'm so happy with the way that this turned out. Nightmare is saying, I got a $500 tip to the people I was serving today. Dude, no way. Dude, actually, here's a moment. I was planning on sharing this at a different point in time, but somebody came in here during our Undertale stream and dropped 10,000 bits. They dropped $100 in chat. And I haven't specifically shared what I use that money on yet. Everything that anybody winds up giving to the stream winds up going back into the stream, whether that means the equipment or the liquor bottles or the glasses and whatnot, all the time it takes to come up with this stuff. But because of that particular donation, I was able to grab, and I haven't even unboxed it yet. Come here, buddy. Oh, come here. I picked up a dildo. No, just kidding. It's not a dildo. This is a sous vide machine, the sous vide thing, which allows you to very specifically, very particularly control the temperature of a bath that you can put things inside of. This is also a vacuum bag sealer, which you can put stuff into it. These things are so great for upper level cooking, and I've never been able to make really, really, really good syrups with like lab level accuracy, and with these things, the Bar with an X has gotten quite the level up. I believe it was Enchanted. Somebody with Enchanted in their name popped that donation, and there was a bunch of other people too doing that hype train. Thank you all. I cannot wait to finally crack these things open and use them. I'm looking forward to it. If anybody has advice on how to use these things, I could use it. That's great. The bottles are shaped by the sprite's head. Is that sad? It all is. It's really cool. I feel incredibly lucky to have people that pop in a chat to allow us to do this kind of stuff. So, that being said, this is Papyrus, and this is his brother Sans, and this is who I present to you, at least in the first part of this stream. I have 3 more cocktails that I want to share with you guys, but before I move on to them, I actually want to try to do something a little bit differently. Usually what I wind up doing is I'll waste everybody's time in the beginning, tell you how the cocktail came to be, where the inspiration is, then I'll kind of muddle my way through actually creating these things and taste them for a little bit before like awkwardly switching between scenes. I've changed up the order a little bit, share with you the recipes, mix them all together, and we can sip on them together, and then talk about how they came to be. So, Sans, if you wouldn't mind going to the side a little bit, I'm going to take out my little notebook. That's amazing, my friend. Thank you so much. We are nothing if not for the tools that we provide for ourselves, but also how we use them, and the people we surround ourselves with. So I got a little bit of notes on how these things came to be, and if you'll vibe a moment for me, let's talk about how Papyrus came to be. There we go. There's our buddy. So, if it wasn't obvious already, Papyrus, Papyrus. I think what occurred to me one day is I was walking through a grocery store and I saw papaya and I thought Papyrus. And I Googled it immediately and thought, did anybody come up with this yet? And yeah, it's made its way through like the various different Undertale subreddits and whatnot, so I'm not the first person to come up with this. But I am the first person to put it in a drink like this. I'm not the first person to put papaya in a drink in general. One of the cocktail books that I have is called Death & Co. Welcome Home. It's made by the people who are behind the modern, like, staple cocktail bar, Death & Co. And their house papaya mix includes papaya juice, papaya extract, but also a bit of creme de cacao to balance out those flavors. And when I put those 2 things together, I was like, that is going to be the base of this cocktail. And I built everything else off of that. Papyrus smells like pasta. I was mentioning before that papaya, when you leave it out a little bit, kind of smells like dog food in the best of ways. It's not a critique. It's just a comment. But in a way, when I was blending the papaya juice and separating it out, I was like, it kind of smells like pasta in here. Like, I'm not even joking with you there. I don't know if you can create pasta from papaya, but I'm sure it can be done. And I'm sure it's been done before. And so all that together culminated in what this is here. In addition, I said cacao and papaya go really well together. The other thing too is it was a chance for me to kind of clarify. Both of these cocktails here utilize a technique called clarification, but the specific clarification is done using a bottle of chemical known as pectin X. Excuse me. Pectin X SBL. It is an enzyme that breaks apart this material called pectin that is inside of the cell walls of a lot of different plants and whatnot. Things like papaya, things like tomato, actually have all the coloring agents inside of these cells, but when you break those cell walls down and centrifuge them or blend them or let them sit for a little while, the colors will separate and you have a clear, almost translucent liquid on top or on the bottom, depending on how the density works out. So by that, we were able to take all of the color out of the papaya juice and also all the color out of Sans as well. Put this back in my refrigerator. These enzymes will denature if they're left out for too long. I see Ninja saying, how does a channel as good as this only have 223 subs? Because the world is difficult, Ninja. Because the world is difficult. And it's all about discoverability. Secretly, I've been honing my craft here on Twitch, the worst platform to be discovered on for the last 3 years, honing my craft. To answer your question. And Nightmare says, as my mother said, you're never fully dressed without a smile. I mean, look at these glasses. Look at these glasses here. I love that. I don't think I was missing anything with Papyrus. Oh, what I wanted to share with y'all too, the other ingredient that is up there is Oat Milk Orgeat. I found it on a website called Punch Drink. Punch Drink is a great resource to go looking for different cocktail techniques and whatnot. Difford's Guide is a great place to look for different recipes and whatnot. But on Punch Drink, there was an article that summarized the number of different recipes that use an oat milk-based orgeat, which usually would be made with almond milk or almonds. This orgeat, as they are calling it, is created with 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of oat milk, 1 teaspoon of rose water, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You blend that all together until all of the sugar has been dissolved, and you can use it in a drink like this. Oftentimes, orgeats and whatnot find their way into various different tiki drinks to offer like a nice change to the texture of the drink, to provide something that's a little more like milky. Somehow it all works together, and it works together very well. In this case, the oat jaw complements the flavor of the papaya, which is, again, a bit dog food-like, but you could also call it a bit melon-like. And melon, to me, has a very similar flavor to some, like, flour-based things like honey and whatnot, which, actually, honey is not in this one. But the oat jar provides a little bit of floral backing. That little bit of rosewater goes a long way, and it elevates everything together, and honestly, sweetens things out in a way that, let's say, a simple syrup wouldn't otherwise do. The papaya itself does not have a lot of sugar in it, and that's evidenced by the papaya muffins that I made after the fact. They're not sweet. I put exactly as much sugar as the recipe called for, but I needed more. Papaya is not sweet, unless you're eating the flesh, like, on its own, so it's wild. Gaster has popped in and says, huh, and Ninja's getting out of here. Peace out, Ninja. The fact that you popped by and gave us another honor of your appearance was greatly appreciated. Gaster, how are you doing? We've got it. You just wait. You just wait. We got something for you. Actually, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but over the course of the last, like, I think I scheduled this stream like a month ago, the thumbnail's got secrets in it. I love hiding secrets. So that's the history of papyrus. That is the history of the papyrus cocktail. That's kind of how it came to be. Honestly, I want more ways to use papaya. I want more drinks that use puns to create their entire being. So if you have ideas on pun drinks, To Kill a Mockingbird doesn't count. I'm already aware of that one. Then by all means, let us know. Or like drinks and stuff that use papaya. This one's very, very tasty. It didn't take too long. This one, Papyrus was the easy one. Papyrus, even in the game of Undertale, is also the easy one. But I'll inform y'all that Sans was not fun. Sans was not fun to build. Sans was fun to fight. It took me 10 hours of actual gameplay time to beat Sans in the genocide route, and I'm very proud of that. It is a very proud moment. I've been waiting almost 8 years to play through and complete the genocide route of Undertale, and that's a way to rein it in. It's a very good way to rein it in. Now, on the other hand, I'll also say that it took not 10 hours. It didn't take 10 hours to create the Sans cocktail, but it took a very long time to figure out. It was a very, very difficult thing to do. First of all, tomato water has a very particular flavor to it. Tomato water is very, very savory. It's very, very vegetal. When I tasted it, I think of a salad. But, so I tried to mix it like a salad. I tried tomato water in combination with a couple of recipe formats that I found across the web. A lot of people are using tomato water in gin martini riffs. Martinis often have like olive brine in them, that sort of savory flavor seems to go really, really well with gin, and so I figured savory tomato would probably go well with gin. And I tried, I think, about 7 or 8, maybe even a dozen different recipes using gin as the base, and every single one of them were completely... I couldn't get this thing to balance for the life of me. That's why I'm not using gin in this one. I tried everywhere from using gin to using sesame beast tahini. I tried to use sour cream to provide the white color. I tried to use celery bitters. I thought I'd try to make like a salad. I even considered using things like vegetable or olive oil to like even things out, and none of it worked. It's because that gin was just, for the life of me, not working. And I don't mean just a particular type of gin. I tried a Plymouth gin, I tried 2 London dry gins, that's really all the gins that I have here, and none of them were working with the tomato water. And I spent way, way too much time on that. Anyways, I see Gaster saying, do me a favor and save my drink for later. I want to be here when making it. I'll be back soon. Oh yeah, it's your drink is second from the last. If I can even call it your drink. If I called it your drink, I feel like I'd be crossing into non-canon zones and universes that I'm just not a big fan of. Is there a Google Translate for the wingdings? There's a website for it, actually, I think. Sebastian says, I don't have the mental capacity to decipher the wingdings on the thumbnail. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If you want yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna give it anything away. So let's see, what did I talk about Sans? Too many tries, took way too much time. It also uses clarification. I showed y'all the pectin. The pectin is used to break down cell walls and stuff. The chemical is pectin. It's inside of cell walls. You break it down, you can increase your yield of tomato water, which is very, very clear. And the clarified tomato water, the clarified papyrus is also very, very clear. The other thing that I was kind of going with these particular drinks here is that papyrus is a lot more... I'm not going to say bubbly because there's no bubbling components inside of Papyrus's drink, but a lot more sweet, a lot more approachable. It is a lot I'd say, like a more approachable drink because of the sweetness level, because of the familiarity of the flavors in there. Papyrus is mostly cocoa, papaya, sweetness. It is very approachable. A lot of people know what sweet is. Everybody loves sweet. People don't necessarily know what papaya is, but that melon flavor combined with those flavors of cocoa from the Creme de Cacao is very approachable, in my opinion. Even approaching the topic of tomato water felt like a bit of a gambit, something that required a little bit of stepping carefully. A number of the different recipes that I tried coming up with sans made me quite literally gag. I almost barfed here behind the bar. None of that was on camera. You're welcome. But with a bit of tact and creativity, and a bit of random chance too, Sans's cocktail recipe actually came to be. And despite the fact that it seems maybe a little unapproachable, maybe a little rough around the edges, maybe a little jokingly too, like you put tomato water in a cocktail, I'm not drinking that. Oddly enough, makes for a pretty good friend if you treat him right and don't try to, kill his brother or anything like that. And that's how these two cocktails came to be. Disney Quiz says, what can you give away? I can give away that the wingdings do translate the things. I'll also say too, I am not a closed book by any regard. I've been doing a ton of little secrets. All the editing that happens is all my doing. Nobody else does that. I don't have an editor. It's just me. So anything you see that seems off, it was probably intended that way. So that's Sans, and that's Papyrus. So let's put these drinks off to the side, and we'll move on to another drink. I have 3 more drinks for y'all this evening. Let me grab some appropriate coasters for our doodads. I think both these guys are gonna get. Both of these guys will get ceramic tiles. I'll put you here. I'm gonna put the other guy. Let's inch you back a little bit. Actually, you guys can go right behind each other because y'all look great. Sans and Papyrus, the both of y'all. How many shorts have secrets? I don't know. I just come up with these things. Anyways, to everybody else, that was Sans and Papyrus. I've got 3 other cocktail recipes that I want to share with y'all this evening. So let's move on. Let's get things better. I wonder, maybe I cue up the music first, right? Where are you? Where's this piece of music? Where's the music? I can't find the music. Where the heck is the music? Where are you? Oh, there it is. There's the music. It's Flowey. Flowey's the next cocktail. Gotta transfer us over. This is a drink called Flowey. Flowey's our next cocktail. Expired hamburger. My accomplice is back! Sans Undertale when Dirt's Overtake walks in. I didn't understand that statement at all. But welcome back in, Expired Hamburger. You're just in time for a cocktail inspired by Flowey from Undertale. Flowey's a fun one. Flowey's a very, very fun one. I'm a big fan of Flowey. So let's get into it. I'll walk you through how to make Flowey, and then we'll taste it a little bit, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. That's what we're gonna do. Hold up, let him cook. Let's go for it. So to create Flowey, you need a specialty ingredient. You need to find or create for yourself Dandelion Liquor. Dandelion, it's not liqueur. It's liqueur, not liqueur. It is not sweet. It is just spirit. This is a little bottle of definitely not Girardi, definitely not urine. This is dandelion spirit. We're also gonna need Pisco and some Limoncello. We're gonna stir everything together and then strain that out into a glass. We're actually going to prepare the glass first, or at least prepare our garnish and stuff. So it's actually gonna take a little while to get there, so please bear with me. Let's grab ourselves a cutting board. Let's pop that down here, and I'll show you all how to make Flowey's garnish, so to speak. So first what we're gonna need is a lemon. Then I need a lemon. This is the easy part. Let me grab myself a canife. I need a knife. I need a good knife. Where's the knife at? There's a nice one. How do you make dandelion liqueur? I'll share all the details of how to make the ingredients at the end after we finally made the cocktail and been able to sample the wares that we've brought in with us today. Let's bring the cocktail angle over. Hello, cocktail angle. And I'm gonna try to show y'all how to create Flowey's garnish. I hope everything turns out all right. Also, my screen is not going to sleep. 1 second, y'all. If the screen doesn't go to sleep, then that means that the phone will wind up shutting off on its own. And that's not very good. We're working with very limited technology here. Add liquid determination. There's already a drink for that. So what we need for Flowey are 6 flower lemon peels. Little petals, if you will. And the way that I create these, if I get these in the right angle, is I'm basically just gonna go down the lemon, and I'm just gonna kind of cut off little subsections that I think kind of look like ovals. They can be as big as you want them to be. I don't think those are really too big. Basically, we're gonna go down and try to get 6 good ones. You could peel them, but I want them to be a bit thicker. If they're a bit thicker, that means they'll stay up on their own. And if you don't know why I need to do that, I'll show you. Just watch along. Just watch along. Let's do one more. I need 6 of them, not one more. And just a few more. I'll say, it's a shame that y'all can't be here to smell the beauty that is lemons. The lemons smell absolutely delightful. After you're done with these peels, by the way, you don't need to discard them. You can actually use them for later. You can make orgeat. Not orgeat. I keep using that term wrongly. Oleo sacrum. You can make oleo sacrum. In this world, it's cook or be cook. In this world, it's not kill or be killed. It's drink or be drunken. Don't you know? Moonshine or something like that. I did not go into giving Flowey a southern accent because I knew that Undertale Yellow was coming up. That was a completely separate than that. There we go. I'm just gonna take a bunch of these pills off. It's fine anyway because, again, we can make this into an oleo sacrum or just use them for more garnishes later. The important part is we want at least 6 of them. So I've got at least 6 of them. So let's go for that. Let me do a little audio test too. Is there still an audio delay between my flaps and everything else? I know somebody reported that earlier. I want to make sure that we nip that in the butt. Now the other part here is we kind of need to create these. You don't need to, technically, but I'd like to take these and make them into ovals. So that's going to take a little bit of a moment. Gaster cocktail when? That's next, silly. It's going to be next. So all I'm going to do is take these and try to make them into ovals. For that, I'm just going to kind of put them to the side and cut little arcs. Let's do a little arc here. We're going to need 6 of these total. Try not to cut yourself. Try. I try to show y'all the angle a little bit better. However, this one would be a difficult one. Actually, you know what? Let's come over here. Come over here. Come on over, y'all. Is this working? Yeah, we're trying our best. There's one. There's one of them. We need 5 more. Patience is key. You know, Flowey was very patient in Undertale, waiting for you the entire time to either kill or be killed. When we were playing through Undertale Yellow, Flowey was very, very patient, and even counting our deaths for us. How very kind of him. How very, very kind of Flowey for us. Now, I'll let y'all know, too, I was working on an Azrael cocktail, too, but I didn't really have the time to finalize everything, unfortunately, and I wasn't able to get it to go in. It was going to involve absinthe, and it was also going to involve Fruit Loops, so put that together as you will. Rather, Gaster said, I'm Wingaster, the royal scientist. Speaking in Caesar's language, that little, I don't know what you call that symbol. There we go. I need better knives up here. I have very bad knives. Let's see, we have 4 of them so far. We need 6 more. Flowey has 6 petals. There are 6 human souls. It's a metaphor. Maybe. It could be a metaphor. It might not be a metaphor. Metaphor. Metaton. Where's Metaton when you need him? I don't know where the guy is. I don't know where he is. All right, we need 1 more. 1 more Flowey petal. Allegedly, it becomes easier the more that you do them. All right. We have our Flowey petals. Now that we have our Flowey petals, We can put our Flowey petals off to the side. We won't need them until we actually take the cocktail and put it into its container, because the container will require the Flowey petals. So, let's take our peels, put them back in our fruits basket. I'm gonna take my tiny little bitties, tiny little bits, and I'll put them in a container. I can probably use them later. I might just eat them too. I'm not gonna eat them now. I just don't want to. We'll put them in here, and we can use them later. You can use laser for other things. We could even make limoncello out of them if we want to, which we won't, not yet. All right, let's put the cocktail angle away. Do some mixing. He's not your best friend anymore. Now he's your best drink. Cocky the cocktail? Flowey the flower. Cocky the cocktail. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go with it. Let's put our garnish off to the side. We'll be going for that later. So to actually create Flowey, you need a dandelion spirit. You'll also need limoncello, and you'll also need some pisco, and that's all gonna go into a mixing glass. Here's our mixing glass. Actually, as we're mixing things together, we'll bring this over. We can get a good view of that. Come on back here. There we go. All right, let's grab some ice and put it into our stirring apparatus. Don't fall, Flowey. Don't die just yet. I'm gonna fill it up with as much ice as possible. We want this to be very, very cold, because Flowey is cold-stemmed. Or something like that. So I'm gonna take the top off of our dandelion spirit. I will share how I made this dandelion spirit later on. Stick around for it. We're gonna add a single ounce of Dandelion Liquor. A single ounce, or 30 milliliters. Oh, it's spilling all over the place. Come on, dude. Oh, man. An ounce, or about 30 milliliters of Dandelion Spirit. I made my own, but I guess technically you could buy some too, you know? Don't need any more of that for a little while. A full ounce of Pisco. I'm gonna grab some Pisco brandy from down here. Pisco! A full ounce, or 30 milliliters, of Pisco brandy. And then finally, some limoncello. Things are smelling mighty interesting so far. Limoncello. Sounds cursed. Can't forget the bullets. I mean, friendliness pellets. There's no friend. The friendliness pellets is the ice, don't you know? Obviously. Half an ounce, or about 15 milliliters of limoncello. Because, like, yellow. And lemons. Flowey's petals, at least in this universe, are made of lemons. That's why we have the lemons. We can take advantage of the whole, like, multiple timelines thing. It's great. And that's all we need in there. That's all we need. So let's give that a stir for a while. Give it a stir for a while. We want that to dilute more or less as much as possible. We want it to be diluted. We want it to be nice and cold. That's what we want. So that's what we'll do. The more ice you use, the more surface area, things will chill faster. I'm gonna take a little bit of time to prepare the glass, so I'm not gonna stir this as much as I would, because it's gonna kind of get nice and cold on their own. CameroxnWithAnX confirmed? Confirmed. We already played Undertale. It's been confirmed for like a month now, my guy. All right. Let's let that sit for a little bit, and we'll wake it up a little bit again later. Let's get our glass. Let's get Flowey. Flowey the flower. Cocky the cocktail, naturally. Hello, Flowey. Hello, little guy. Let's bring you up a little bit so we can see your beautiful face. I'm back. Gaster's back. Hello, Gaster. Did you correctly? Hello, Flowey. I don't really like the way that everything is reflecting right now, but as this glass comes to temperature, that frost will kind of go away. My cocktail win. Your cocktail next. Cocktail next, my friend. Quick, someone push him in the core. He fell into his creation. We're gonna take the various different Flowey petals that we carved earlier, and we're just going to kind of arrange them on the glass such that everything looks really nice. So let's add our petals. We're just gonna kind of stick them on the side of the glass. Ooh, maybe I'll pull you back a little bit. We'll pull you back a little bit. Little bit. Trying to make this look good. Honestly, Flowey's looking a little limp right now. And that's okay. We'll make it better in the long run. It'll be better for the photo shoot. Don't fall, my guy. Don't fall. That's why we use thick petals. Thick petals saves lives. Or rather, thick petals just save. Thick petals save. That's all there is to it. Wow, that is looking demonic. That is looking very demonic. If we put them up against each other, the friction will help. Would it also help too, if you want to be a cheater, you can use some toothpicks. So I'll get some toothpicks after this. Let's put 2 more sets of petals. 2 more sets of petals. Hello, there you are back there. There you are. There we go. There we go. Barry says, greetings from Papaya, which is your favorite food around the world that you wish to taste. Dude, if I could taste any food in the world, what would I taste? Any food in the world? I want caviar. I want somebody else to buy the caviar for me. I've had caviar before, but I want more. I want more caviar. I'm gonna sneak away over here and grab myself some toothpicks to cheat a little bit. Every once in a while, a little movie magic comes into play. Hello, Flowey. There we go. Flowey petals, looking okay. Flowey petals looking okay. Could probably look better. Not gonna lie. Could probably look better. But this is the thing we have. So this is the thing that we're gonna use. That's the thing we got. That's what we're gonna use. There we go. It's Flowey. Also, this angle is not flattering. There we go. There's Flowey. Honestly, kind of looks like Flowey's got kind of got ponytails. Let's see if we adjust the angle a little bit, if we can make that a little bit better. Come on, get up, dude. Get up, dude. Silly angle. Hey, Amy. Welcome on in. Flowey the orange slice. You can't see the toothpicks back here. I'll snap them off. You can't see the toothpicks. I'm totally not cheating. Get out of here. We don't need those things. Toothpicks on the floor. There we go. A little bit better. Little bit better. Oftentimes in bars, you'll pre-prepare the garnish. I wanted to walk y'all through just how difficult sometimes garnishes can be if you don't think them out ahead of time. Which I did. I did think them out ahead of time, but there's always room for error. Always room for error. Alright, that's about as much as I'm gonna fiddle around with that. This is Flowey the flower. Like it or not, this is Flowey the flower. Maddie says hi. Hello. I didn't know that you were using toothpicks. I didn't think I'd need to, Gaster. I didn't think I'd need to. We've woken up our cocktail a little bit. Now, let's strain it over top. This is Flowey. Is a little bit extra. A little bit extra. This is Flowey. Flowey the flower. Come on down and say howdy to Flowey. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. See, the pictures look pretty much exactly the same, right? Come on, dude. Dude, this angle is not being kind to me today. This angle is not being kind. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's drink Flowey. Let's put Flowey in our mouths. Consume the flower. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Thank you, thank you. I grew this flower myself. Oh my gosh. Is Spooktune playing right now? I don't want Spooktune to play. Oh, my playlist got all messed up. What do you do? Oh, this is the Undertale set. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Where are you? There we go. Let's do Temmie Village. I don't know what happened there, y'all. Everything got crazy. So this is Flowey the flower. Flowey the flower has some friendliness pellets, which are definitely not toothpicks trying to hold the garnish in place. Drinkers beware. This is Flowey. Mmm. Nice and cold. Nice and chilly cold. That's the advantage of having a chilled glass and also just a generally chilled and diluted cocktail. Flowey tastes oddly like lemon. which makes sense. There's limoncello in there. There is a dryness, an undeniable dryness and flavor of earth that is right in front of the flavor of lemon coming from the limoncello. That dandelion spirit that I created for this has some earthy notes to it. It's got notes that are not quite leafy, almost woodsy in a way. The particular dandelion that's in this, I'll give you the full scoop of it later, is a dandelion leaf and root tea that I left inside of some vodka and then kind of diluted it down a little bit for proof, and a couple of other things too. That dry flavor from the dandelion spirit juxtaposes that lemon. It's a little strong on the lemon, I'll be honest on that. But that Pisco provides a slight other boost of proof that kind of melds those other flavors together. The Pisco is fruity in a way, but it's another dry sort of fruity. Instead of it being just dry all around, there's some dry flavor, there's some dry texture, and then there's a bit of that lemon fruitiness. This is a fruity cocktail, but there's no sweetness. I wouldn't call this sweet in any definition of the word. And to be honest, this is a very, very tiny glass, and it's got a bunch of petals all over it, so the drinking experience is a downright 1 star on this. Very bad. And like, let's call it a 2.5 star presentation. We could have done better on that. That's Flowey. That's Flowey the flower cocktail, the cocktail. I don't know. Somebody was making jokes about that before. I see Gaster saying it's beautiful. I'll watch in the shadows. I like lemons. You're right back here, Gaster. We'll get you out of here in just a moment. So Flowey, the cocktail, was something that I wanted to play around with. The dandelion spirit that you see here is completely homemade. It is a homemade thing. I tried to go out when the dandelions were actually ripe for the picking, but the Bar with an X is in Philadelphia, and the dandelions that you can pick are either way too close to the sidewalks, way too close to the runoff, or way too close to places where like dogs will just lift their legs and pee all over them, which is not the yellow color that I think Flowey is looking for. So I wasn't able to get fresh dandelion to create this particular dandelion spirit with. Instead, we had some packages of, I don't remember the brand name of the tea, but it's a dandelion leaf and root tea. And we took 2 full bags. Actually, I've got the whole recipe here that I'll share with y'all on how to make your own Flowey spirit. So, custom yellow flower spirit, because Flowey the flower. If you had to drink a yellow flower, somebody mentioned dandelion. You could do like calendula, I believe. I can't remember what the other ones are. Is that a Bible? Nah, it's my notes. It's my notes. It's my cocktail journal. It might also be the Bible, the cocktail Bible, if you will. So to create this dandelion spirit, my particular recipe, this is the first instance of this recipe. This is by no means perfected. This is by no means what I would actively suggest other people to make. This is kind of what we threw together for this. So if you were to make your own Flowey, right? Your own flower, your own little determination experiment, your mileage is going to vary depending on the limoncello that you use, depending on the Pisco that you use, and depending on the dandelion spirit you either buy or create. In this case, I wanted to do something homemade because, you know, Flowey the flower was homemade. You know, you just kill a boss monster here, infuse it with a human soul there, a little pinch of determination and a yellow flower bed, and there you go. That's your flower. And that's how I made this. To create your dandelion spirit the same way that I did, you'll take 600 milliliters of vodka, 3.5 grams of dandelion root and leaf tea, which is just about 2 tea bags, 4.5 grams of a chaga mushroom, some sort of dried mushroom to provide that dryness that the dandelion leaf and root tea didn't already provide for you. Give it a little bit of an earthiness. 16.3 grams of sliced ginger, about 2 ginger stalks, 29.6 grams of lemongrass, which is about 2 stalks of it, and you cut it all with water. I have specific instructions of exactly how long I kept things steeping for and how often I did otherwise. All of this will wind up on the blog website eventually. I am very behind on things, but if you're looking to do exactly what I've done here, I'll put it all out for you, because I want to make sure that we do the cooking by the book. We make our own Bibles here, and that's tasty. And then naturally, to give Flowey his look, I try to think about the best, like one of the ways to do that, and you could just get a yellow flower and just kind of use that like an edible yellow flower, but I didn't really want that to be the case. Instead, what I did was first determine the recipe, which was the dandelion spirit, the limoncello, and the Pisco, and make the garnish around it. And at least for this particular recipe of Flowey, because limoncello was used, because one of the prominent fruit citrus flavors is lemon, it made sense to me to create the the flower petals out of lemon peels. And these are pretty thick lemon peels, and they're kind of keeping their form because they've got toothpicks in them. This is a very, I am doing a terrible job drinking this particular one. Just be careful. At least in my case, I still have little friendliness pellets that are trying to come and attack me. And that's how I made Flowey. You can make your Flowey differently. I would also I know that there are people out there who are also making drinks inspired by video games. I've found a number of you so far. So if you're making your own cocktails, if you were to make your own Flowey, how would you do it? What flower would you choose? If you had to pick a yellow flower, which one would you use? If you had to use Dandelion Spirit, how would you make yours? Or otherwise? Random questions for the crowd at large. Let's put this on a coaster, and we'll move on. Gaster, I know you're lurking out there in the multiverse somewhere. This next one's for you. Let's pop Flowey in the back, right? Flowey just lurking in the back. Winking. Just winking in the background. It's gonna be just fine. Let's get on with it. So, as we continued through our Undertale journey, one of the things that I never got to experience, in my playthrough, my fun values were not on point. They were not at a point where I would be able to experience any of the Gaster stuff, which I was kind of unfortunate. It made me kind of sad. But I didn't see any of the Gaster stuff, which was sad to me. And I did specifically try and modify my fun values manually to try to get those events to happen, and they never did. But in the game, in a secret room somewhere, you can find an entry, specifically entry number 17. There are other entries that you find in the True Lab, and it kind of details the determination experience that Alfie's conducted with one or two, I don't know, potential other participants. Monsters, amalgamates, if you will. We'll get there. Entry number 17 is written all in wingdings. All in wingdings. You can see that in the background. All of entry 17 is in the little cocktail up there. You can decipher it in your own time. But the cocktail, one of the lines in it, it describes, or rather, let me back up. Entry number 17 describes, allegedly, the previous royal scientist and his experiments with his creation. I don't think anybody really knows what the creation is, but allegedly, if this is the man who talks in hands, and this is W.D. Gaster, who fell into his experiment and were scattered across space and time, that's possibly what entry number 17 is referring to. And of course, W.D. Gaster, Wingdings Gaster, it's all done in Wingdings. It makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. But in that entry is the description of, we assume, the royal scientist as he fell into his creation, as Gaster fell into his creation. And one of those lines is that the photon readings are negative. Dark, darker, yet darker, which makes sense because the photon readings are negative. Maybe. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. So let's make dark, darker, yet darker. To create this particular cocktail, you're gonna build this over a dark cube, a dark core, and you're gonna stir it until it's at a proper temperature. So we'll get right into that. I see Sebastian saying sunflower seeds for decor in a cocktail is my Flowey. I like that idea, Sebastian. So let's grab our ingredients. We need a glass to keep this in. I need a cold brew coffee cube, an ice cube made of cold brew coffee, and we need a number of different dark ingredients. I'm going to gather them all first, and then we're going to combine them all together. This cocktail, dark, darker, yet darker, has a bunch of dark spirits in it. It's dark, darker, yet also darker. So let's go for it. I need some coffee liqueur. I've got a dark spirit called Mr. Black. I need an Amaro spirit, specifically a dark Amaro spirit. I, for one, have Baltimore. You could use something like a Fernet Branca or some other type of dark Amaro. This is what I'm using for this one. Another dark Amaro, not specifically this one, is one called Chinar. And you're down here too somewhere. Where are you? There you are. Another dark spirit that you may be familiar with is Jägermeister. Somehow, Jägermeister has its day. The Hunter has his day. And we also need a dark cherry liqueur, which in this case is going to be a bottle of cherry hearing. We're also going to need that coffee cold brew cube. So we move things out of the way, and we'll mix it all together. Excuse me, everybody. Excuse me, y'all. Let's bring the cocktail angle over and grab ourselves a glass. Excuse me. As you can tell throughout these shows, I get progressively and progressively more tipsy because I'm drinking, which is why you should hydrate. Not me. Obviously, I don't need to be hydrated anymore. There's so much drink here, duh. Let's grab ourselves a glass. I want one in the shape of something that I can stir with. So, grab this guy. I want that guy? Yeah. I figure out what glass I want. I'll use this guy. Use this guy for this. Don't forget to include stirring with your hands, speaking with hands. Hands. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Don't you know? Gaster is the man who speaks with the hands. Obviously. I'm gonna grab myself a cube, special cube, from the freezer. Here, which one we got here? There we go. I'll actually take the cube out. Now, this is not necessarily the darkest cube that you can gain access to, but it's a pretty dark cube nonetheless. It's literally brown. It's a brown cube, and it's even darker on the bottom than it is at the top. It's made of coffee. It's a very dark cube. A rather dark cube indeed. Oh my gosh. Special cube. Special dark cube for special dark cocktail. And now we will mix it as follows. You'll need an ounce of a coffee liqueur. You thought it couldn't get any more coffee. It did. It very well did. 1 ounce of coffee liqueur, or about 30 milliliters. And pour it all over top of your cube. Next, we're gonna need a half an ounce, or about 15 milliliters, of a dark Amaro. My Amaro of choice is Baltimore Spirits Company's Baltimore. Not sponsored, just a delicious, delicious spirit. And I'll describe more of that later on. 15 milliliters, about half an ounce, of Baltimore. Another dark spirit. Too bad I actually don't like coffee in real life. I totally would have made it. Gaster doesn't like coffee? How in the world were you conducting all of your experiments in the middle of the night? How do you stay up without caffeine? Next, we're gonna need a half an ounce, or about 15 milliliters, of Chinar. I still don't know how to properly pronounce this. It's either Chinar, Chinar. I like Chinar. Feels better that way. Half an ounce, or about 15 milliliters, of Chinar. Canonically, I like coffee. Well, all right. I mean, you exist across every single universe. I'm sure you exist simultaneously, contradictorily, in one universe where you do like coffee, and one universe where you don't like coffee. That makes total sense to me. Next, we're gonna need a 1/4 ounce of Jägermeister. 1/4 ounce, or about 7 milliliters, of Jägermeister.
I have a delivery.
You have a delivery? Whoa. Anna's brought a special delivery. I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet. It's a secret. Next, we're gonna add a 1/4 ounce, or 7 milliliters, of a cherry liqueur. Cherry hearing is dark enough for me. 1/4 ounce, or 7 milliliters, of cherry hearing. And that's all you need, because the rest of the ingredients are already inside of the glass. Let's put these spirits away, and then give these a stir. Stir, burr. What's up, my love?
I'm just watching now.
Great. I have quite the show to give you. Gaster says there's a universe where I'm in your place.
Whoa, Gaster, how'd you get here?
Why? What if I am Gaster? What if actually Gaster is in my body right now? I'm about to drink what you could consider to be a reincarnation of Gaster. I do. So maybe. So let's grab ourselves stirrer and stir until diluted. Stir until cold. You're not actually diluting anything here, except for the small proportion of water that's actually in your coffee. For the most part, all we're doing is bringing this up to temperature and incorporating more of the cold brew into the cocktail. You'd think that it would smell like coffee right now. It does not.
What does it smell like?
Smells like photons reading being negative. Smells like darkness.
That smells like coffee.
Nah, it smells like darkness. Honey, it smells like darkness.
It smells like bitter.
The science says it smells like darkness and bitterness. Bitterness and darkness. All at the same time. Heating up in the core? Actually, I might end up liking it. Heating up in the core? Technically speaking, the core of the drink is melting. It is being heated up at the same time as it is cooling down. So yes. What's that?
Is that like a reference?
Is it a reference? The core.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Gaster's creation was the core, although I don't think that's technically been confirmed. He fell into his creation. Some say, I think, leading theories say it's the core. Maybe. It's neither here nor there. I don't know. I don't know. So, this feels mighty cold to me. And I've got a feeling that it's cold enough to drink.
What was that?
It needs to be colder. It needs to be colder. This is like the harsh truth of drinks like this. You don't just put a drink that's not been cooled already over a big ol' ice cube. This is the thing here. Let's talk science for a moment. We're royal scientists, right? You and me and you. Me and myself at the same time, because I'm Gaster, obviously. This cube is very large. It's very dense. It doesn't want to cool down very much. It doesn't want to give away its temperature very much because it's so densely packed. If this were less densely packed or had less impurities in it, it would probably be even more stronger. But this takes a while to stir because I didn't stir this and dilute it already. I could have taken another cold brew coffee cube and broken it up into tiny pieces, increasing the surface area, cooling it faster. I just didn't. I just didn't do it. So I didn't. You know, Gaster says, the only canon ingredient Gaster had was egg. Because it's a part of the it's part of the language, you know? It's a part of the alphabet, I think. Honestly, you know, he's also talked with little Templar cross signals and hands and stuff, and anybody out there who says hands can't be ingredients has clearly never tasted hand or finger ice.
What does that mean?
Ice that's been tainted with the flavor of fingers or hands.
So if I touch your drink, it's tainted with fingers?
I mean, it's already tainted. I had to put my grubby little fingers all over it. Is it cold enough yet? Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, dude. Oh, let's drink this sucker. In Deltarune, you can get an egg from Gaster. What? I haven't played Deltarune yet. No spoilers. No spoilers. This is not technically Gaster. It is darker, yet darker. This is a dark cocktail. Could it be darker? Absolutely. But it's dark. A little bit darker. And a little bit darker than that. Note, it's not called Darkest. It's not called Darkest. Darkest kind of smells like coffee. Just a little bit. But also a touch of cherry. And darkness also smells like it could probably hurt me if ingested too fast. Because that is a damn big ice cube. Yeah, that needs to be stirred. And it needs to be stirred and cooled properly. It is such an interesting combination of flavors. So the notes that you might get from, I can taste everything. I can taste literally everything in there. Jägermeister kind of tastes like licorice. Cherry Hearing kind of tastes like a cherry lollipop. Coffee tastes like coffee. Beans, a little bit of a burnt characteristic from this particular cold brew, which I made a while ago and kept frozen in my freezer. The Amaro's in there. Chinar's got a nice bitterness to it. A different type of bitterness, a vegetal bitterness combining with that almost chocolatey bitterness from the coffee. And to top everything off, there is such a proper spirit level in this that the sweetness is not too much. The bitterness is not even too much. It is very powerful on flavor, don't get me wrong. But everything kind of like melds together in a way that is so strange. And I would even say almost otherworldly, not exactly able to be described in one or a couple of words, let alone the standard 26 letters in at least the Latin alphabet. You might need to use hand signals instead. This cocktail is pretty good. It's very bitter too. Gaster asks, it's good? BRB, it is good. I'll see you.
What?
That's what Gaster said, and I am Gaster, so BRB. That means the show's done for at least a little bit. It's a bit, don't worry about it. But in all seriousness though, this is nice. For me, I am a person who drinks my coffee black. So for all intents and purposes, this tastes like a vegetal bitter coffee with notes of candy. And those candy notes are cherry and licorice, ever so slightly. It's very botanical, it's got a lot of stuff going on, and it is meant to be something that is kind of overwhelming in a way. What I was coming up with this particular cocktail, I thought to myself, dark, darker, yet darker. The first thing that popped in my head is I need the blackest, darkest, most opaquely photon-absorbing ingredients that I've got behind here at the Bar with an X. And I did more or less try everything. And I also tried to source even more things. When I was trying to determine, especially the ice that would go at the middle of this drink, I got a flashback to when I was younger, and you were able to buy black water from the stores, which you can still buy, but it costs like $40 on Amazon for like a pack of like, I think 6 or 12. And I was not about to spend all that for a single drink. It also occurred to me too that this is darker, yet darker, but not darkest. So if you really went with the black of night, I feel like it'd actually be a little too dark. On that note too, one ingredient that a lot of drinks will use to get that very dark color is activated charcoal, or just charcoal powder in general. I do have charcoal powder, and I've used it before. The drink that I used it originally with was the Black Chest cocktail, which was inspired by Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, which is coming out, I think, in a week or two. Hype. I didn't want to use that in this. After I used the activated charcoal, I did some more research about the ingredients that I was using, and activated charcoal does some odd things, like with alcohol, with medications and stuff, and the way that your body perceives like taste and whatnot, and the texture on your tongue. What charcoal will do to a drink is it will make it black. It will make it jet black. It'll also add a lot of particulates to it. If it sits for a while, the black color begins to separate, and it kind of collects at the bottom, and then it's quite literally just a soggy pile of carbon dust that honestly isn't too pleasant to drink. It does have its merits here or there. You can use it for garnishes, you can do it for some color changing, and you can use it to change things and to change the texture and a little bit of flavor. It's just kind of dry though, and it was not what I wanted to go for this cocktail. I also couldn't source that black water, or I chose not to, because it's too dark, so I didn't wind up going there. The other dark things that I had was a variety of different ingredients here at the Bar with an X. And the entire list of drinks that I used to try and combine this cocktail together was, I have the full list here in my little Bible over here. I tried to use Chinar, Fernet Branca, Mr. Black Coffee Liqueur, Kraken Spiced Rum, Myers Dark Rum, Jägermeister, Creme de Violet, Cherry Hearing, Chocolate Infused Rye Whiskey, and even some tonic water too, because tonic water, when exposed to black light, will glow a color. And for a little bit, I was like, this is a cool concept. I'll try to go with this. But honestly, there were a couple things, as I was mixing all of these different dark ingredients together, just didn't work well. Some flavors just do not go well with each other. At least they didn't go well together, at least in my case. For example, for some reason, Fernet Branca, which is another Amaro spirit, a Fernet-specific Amaro, a very deep Amaro, this is the bottle. When I was combining that together, it really wouldn't work in the cocktail. This is really, really, really bitter. It is overpoweringly bitter, and it also tastes strongly of mint, and that's not the flavors that went well with the cherry. It didn't really go well with when I was playing around with the Creme de Violet, and ultimately it was too bitter to drink. I'm a black coffee drinker, so I like my coffee bitter, but that was too bitter for the amount of spirit that I wanted to add to it. Of note too, this is 39% alcohol. So although it's pretty high, it's not the highest that you can get. When we were on celebrating our wedding, after it was over, Anna and I went up to Baltimore, Maryland, and stopped along the Baltimore Spirits Company, and I found that they had a whole series of various different Amaros. They have their Baltimore Volume 1, I believe this is Volume 1, which is their Fernet Amaro. They have a Szechuan Amaro. They have another one too, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But this particular Fernet-style Amaro is not as heavy on the mint. It's not as heavy on the bitter, but the proof clocks in at 100, so it's 50% alcohol. So I actually found that this cocktail didn't need a base spirit because of how much alcohol content this particular bottle of Amaro was providing to the rest of the ingredients. And the other flavors were light enough that it allowed the other ingredients to be supported by the botanicals in this one, combining things together in a way that was a lot more balanced than if you were to use Fernet Branca, which if you had to use it, I would not suggest adding a half an ounce of Fernet Branca. I think it's way too much. If you had to add it, I'd do like maybe a bar spoon, like a scant bar spoon, if that's what you have on hand. This is a very unique bottle, and I acknowledge that. So if you had to make the substitution, instead of using this at a half an ounce, what I would do is I would increase the Cynar by about 1/4 of an ounce, increase the cherry liqueur by like a quarter of an ounce, and then add like a bar spoon of Fernet Branca to kind of make up for the rest of it. Because I don't think you need a lot of it. But this was a really fun one to do. I'll also note in terms of base spirits, I felt very, very pressured to use a dark base spirit like Kraken Spiced Rum, or a dark rum like a Myers is, or even a Gosling's. Because I had this bottle of Baltimore, the proof was high enough to make up for it. So in addition to my other note of upping the cherry liqueur, actually don't up the cherry liqueur, you don't need the cherry liqueur. Up your Cynar just a little bit and add, it's gonna completely change the flavor around, the most neutral dark rum that you can get your hands on. Myers for me is not neutral. No dark rums are really neutral. I would suggest using a Gosling's if you had to make the substitution, which is a little more available to bar shelves, in my humble opinion. And I think that's really all the notes that I had on Gaster. Not using activated charcoal. Actually, black vodka is a thing that exists out there, but it just didn't make sense to use black vodka. If you want vodka, you're just adding proof to things, and a little bit of texture, a little bit of mouthfeel, but it just didn't feel necessary here. I wanted to do more fun stuff. I wanted more of a challenge. So that's what we did. And I landed with this recipe. Dark rums don't play well. Don't use Creme de Violet. Creme de Violet is so freaking powerful. Another one. Just use like 1/4 of an ounce of it. Just use like 1/4 of an ounce. You don't need any more than that. Anyways, so that is the Gaster. That is the darker, yet darker cocktail. Honestly, this is the first time that I played around. The goal of this one was to use a bunch of dark spirits, and that was a lot of fun for me. So my question to especially the mixologists, or just the people who do things with whatever. Black tea is black technically in a way. Dark enough, right? I'm curious. If you had to make your own darker yet darker, maybe you don't know what your ingredient is off the top of your head, or what exactly would work, but I'm curious of what you would think about putting together. I'm very curious of that, because actually somebody, I think, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but they popped in here and said Jägermeister goes really, really well with butterscotch ice cream, and that kind of inspired a lot of the stuff that came up after this. So I can't, for the life of me, I'm so sorry, I cannot remember what your tag is, but thank you. You put that idea in my head. You know who you are. In any case, so at this point, I've got one more cocktail that I want to show to y'all this evening, and I was going to go downstairs to go grab it and do some prep, but my beautiful, beautiful partner brought up the ingredients for us, and I'm glad that she did. Oh, you can leave that there, my love.
Why?
I gotta prepare the people. I must prepare the people. So let's put...
The people are in here.
The people are inside?
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are inside. Let's grab ourselves a coaster, do a little cleanup, and we'll bring out one final cocktail this evening. One final recipe that I got prepared for y'all.
This is a lot of cocktails.
It's a lot of
talk about.
A lot of cocktails. There's 5 of them. Honestly, I've done more. I've had more cocktails in my life. This one is called Amalgamate. And I'm going to pull up specifically the song that I love so much. Where are you? Where's the amalgam? There we go. Let's add this to the queue. And let's add this one to the queue. Y'all, I'm going to show y'all some amalgams. This one is interesting. If you haven't already gotten an idea by the recipe, I'm going to show you how to mix all your... I'm going to show you how to make my amalgamate. Oh. Good night, my love. Good night, good night, good night. I need to bring out my cooler for this one. Why is it even called a cocktail anyways? Who even came up with this? I did. And I'll explain why in a second. Y'all, I have for you all a couple of ingredients. These are not ingredients that you would find in any bar. These are not ingredients that I feel like you would find anywhere. Not in this universe, at least. Maybe my multidimensional beings can argue with me on that. In this cooler are a collection of amalgamates from the game Undertale. What I have for you today is a drink that combines all of them together in some way, shape, or form. I'll tell you how to make it, and then I'll tell you the in real life interpretation of whatever the fuck is going on here. So, from cold storage, what you'll need for this cocktail is Snowdrake's mother. You'll need for this cocktail Memory Head. You'll need for this cocktail lemon bread. You'll need for this cocktail Endogeny. And finally, you'll need Reaper Bird, who does not want to stand in front of an event Endogeny. If you have all of your amalgams, all of your amalgamate monsters, you're going to need to combine them in the following way in order to create, at least what I'm calling my own amalgamate. Lemon bread, asks Firewolfie? Yes. That's lemon bread. Let's combine these ingredients together, shall we? That's what we do with experiments. We combine them together. I'm going to turn on the cocktail angle so we can get a closer look at these particular amalgamates. Hello, everybody. Look at everybody. Everybody looks so happy to be pulled out of cold storage for once. Look at these guys. Look at these beautiful... I mean, I don't know if beautiful is the right term for it, but that's what we're going to go with. So, I'm going to put these off to the side. Let me grab myself a glass. To create your amalgamate, to create my amalgamate, you grab yourself a tall glass, and then you'll add a bunch of ice to it. And we're going to pre-add a straw. To make things easier for ourselves. Don't forget to feed them potato chips. Oh, I haven't forgotten. These ones have been kept very satisfied, Firewolfie. Very satisfied. They don't want for nothing. They have everything they need in my particular cold storage. Fill a glass with ice. If you want to add a straw ahead of time, you're more than welcome to. It will make stirring easier. It will make stirring easier. Get in there. We'll make it work. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. So what we're going to add first is 2 full ounces of Snowdrake's mother. Now, Snowdrake's mother, when brought out of cold storage, gets a little hard and a little frosty. So you might need to wake her up a little bit in order to actually pull out 2 full ounces. 2 ounces, or about 59 milliliters of Snowdrake's mother. Pour that on in. Let it sink to the bottom of your glass. Your sins are heavy. Your experiments are heavy. Now we'll add 1.5 ounces, or about 44 milliliters of lemon bread. You'll need to wake lemon bread up a little bit too. Something about the lemon and the bread don't mix super well together. Smells like lemon. Makes sense. Where did I just put my... Oh, there you are. 1.5 ounces, or about 44 milliliters of lemon bread. We're gonna try to pour that carefully over our ice. Next we'll add 1/2 ounce of Endogeny. Endogeny 2, being part grapefruit juice, needs to be waking up a little bit. Gotta pet the dog. Pet the dog a little bit. And after you've done so, you'll add 1/2 ounce. 1/2 ounce, or about 15 milliliters of Endogeny. We don't need that much of it. Only a couple of little pets are exactly all we need. Next we'll add a full ounce of Reaper Bird, which does not like to come undone. Reaper Bird is being a little coy. Makes sense. There we go. 1 ounce, or about 30 milliliters of Reaper Bird, which actually I need to shake up a little bit too. I can see you separating a little bit. Don't forget to shake. Don't forget to wake up your cold storage amalgamates. If you don't wake them up, they don't taste as good. There we go. Nice and frothy that bird is. A full ounce, or 30 milliliters, of Reaper Bird. Poured carefully, 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 over the top. If you can. If you can muster it, that's the way to be. And then, finally, reach deep into your head and try to find that memory. I'm grabbing an ounce of memory head. An ounce or 30 milliliters of memory head. And really, that's all you need. That's all the amalgamates that you're gonna need. If you want to top this off with any particular amalgamate, I would suggest lemon bread. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I don't think we'll need to do that. This is an amalgamate. It's my amalgamate. Nobody else's amalgamate. And it was made with the following ingredients. If you sipped from the bottom, you'd see that it tastes like Snowdrake's mother. The beauty of this particular amalgamate is the way that it stacks together. But it all tastes the best when you combine them all together. If you inject monsters with determination, their bodies begin to melt. They can keep their forms for a little bit of time, but they don't keep them for very long. For if you inject with more determination and you bring them back from falling down, they'll eventually start to meld together, combining, losing their original identities, and sometimes making things a little bit messy. But if you combine all of these amalgamates together, you get something that looks like this. The true form of my amalgamate, who has no name. This is not the everyman. This is not the unnamed one that hides in the shower or tucks you in bed. This is the unnamed one that you find in your gut after you leave the true lad, never to come back, but forever changed and slightly hungry. That's what my amalgamate does to you. In any case. Sorry, my brain's empty, says Firewolf. Don't worry, you will fill your brain up all right with alcohol, I guess. I lost one of my ice cubes, so I'll put that back on the inside. Serve this cold with a straw. Suck these amalgamates with a straw. This particular amalgamate has a strong taste of rum, a little bit of spice in there. I can taste subtle notes of tequila and a powerful, sweet note of citrus. Just enough to make it noticeable. And above everything else, there is a slight sweetness and bitterness that reminds me of coffee, even. So it's kind of a sweet combination of coffee, orange, and rum together is how everything sounds. It's how everything tastes together. Sounds like a tapeworm, not gonna lie. I mean, if this thing is still wriggling 3 or 4 days after I'm done with it, it's a tapeworm. Or at the very least, a parasite. So, as I've described for y'all already, I have this amalgamate. And I also just noticed Sansa's mouth fell off. Sansa's smile is like gone. Can you see that? Can you see that down there? That's so funny. I just happened to notice that. Let me bring all of our amalgamates out into view. Lemon bread back there. We got our, don't forget our memory head. Memory head is hanging over here. And then we have, what was it? Our Reaper Bird. Reaper Bird hanging in the back. He's tipping through the other ones. Little bro drank too much ketchup. In this case, it's tomato water fire. So, this is the amalgamate. This amalgamate was made by combining all the 5 named amalgamates from Undertale together in a certain ratio that I will share with you all. Truth be told, these are not actually amalgamates. truth be told, these are actually cocktails. Every single one of these amalgamates are cocktails that have just been batched in larger amounts and combined together. And if you'll do me the honors, I'd like to tell you exactly how I made it. So this final cocktail, the Amalgamate, is a combination of everybody else together. When I was trying to think about how to make an Amalgamate cocktail, the idea that multiple monsters quite literally combine themselves together to become something completely different and almost indistinguishable from their original identities actually kind of went against some of my learnings as a bartender and mixologist. One train of thought says that when you create a drink with ingredients, you want each of those ingredients to impart some sort of characteristic to the final drink that can be distinguished in the end, either combining all the flavors together in a way that is unique, pleasant, balanced, sweet, sour, or some other combination of stuff. This kind of challenged me to do something a little bit against that. All I wanted was something combined together that basically didn't taste bad. I personally am not the biggest fan of the mixed drinks and whatnot that you would get at like dive bars and whatnot, where it's every liquor on the planet combined with Coca-Cola, or every liquor that you have ever heard of and never heard of combined with blue curacao and tequila or some other sweetener. I'm not a huge fan of those types of drinks, but for the Amalgamate, it felt perfect. The idea of combining individual drinks or ingredients together such that none of their, or very little of their original components could be distinguished in the final product was exactly what I was going for here in the Amalgamate. Does this look like some weird mixed drink that crawled out of the Black Lagoon? Yes, that's the point. So to create this, the thought occurred to me that instead of using ingredients for the cocktail, you would use cocktails as the ingredient. So every single one of these amalgamates on their own is another cocktail. It wasn't, none of these are my recipes. These are recipes that are from well-established books, websites, and whatnot, and I'll share with you of how to make these ones in particular. This is how you make them, the amalgamate. You could create your own amalgamates individually, individual cocktails, and combine them together. Firewolfie says, Monster Souls just hit kind of different. And they're also like oddly sweet in a way. Vastly, starkly different than what I imagine the flavor of a potato chips would be, which I would think is kind of salty. Speaking of salty, excellent segue. I'll now describe for you exactly which cocktails these amalgamates are, and then I guess I'll give you an idea of what the actual recipe of this drink is, which took a lot of calculation on my part, but I did the work for you so that you don't have to. You're welcome. So actually, the Endogeny cocktail is actually a salty dog cocktail. A salty dog cocktail is made with, quite literally, vodka, grapefruit juice, and a little bit of salt. This particular Endogeny was made with 1 part vodka to 2 part grapefruit juice, with 1/8 of a tablespoon of salt for every 3 ounces of liquid. If you add a lot of salt, you're gonna taste it. When you combine it with everything else, if you notice, Endogeny is the smallest amount because you only needed just enough salt to brighten other flavors, in particular the citrus notes coming from not just Snowdrake's mother, but also lemon bread, but also Reaper Bird, oddly enough. Reaper Bird is actually a jungle bird cocktail. Memory Head is a mind eraser. Lemon bread is a lemon drop, and Snowdrake's mother is an adios motherfucker. And those are the different drinks. And if I didn't mention already, Endogeny is a salty dog. To create Endogeny, it was 2 parts of the vodka, 1 part of the grapefruit juice, and a little bit of salt. To create this Reaper Bird, the jungle bird, you'll combine together 3 parts of dark rum, 3 parts of pineapple juice, 1 part Campari, 1 part simple syrup, and 1 part of lime juice. To create Memory Head, aka a mind eraser, you're gonna combine equal parts coffee liqueur to vodka, and don't use any club soda if you're planning on putting this in your freezer, or else it'll just get flat. If you wanted to take this out, you'd add some club soda back on top of it. To create lemon bread, aka a lemon drop, you can combine together 3 parts vodka, 1 part lemon juice, 1 part simple syrup, and 1 part some orange liqueur. I would suggest a Cointreau, because that tasted the best to me, at least personally. And then, finally, to create your Snowdrake's mother, your adios motherfucker in this case, you're gonna combine in all equal parts vodka, white rum, tequila blanco, gin, blue curacao, lime juice, lemon juice, and 2 parts of simple syrup. So you could just do like an ounce of all of those and then 2 full ounces of your simple syrup, which is just a 1-to-1 ratio of sugar by water by weight. Sugar to water by weight. Easy. Very easy to do. Obviously a very easy set of cocktails to make together. Naturally. Now, each of these cocktails, too, was intended to be an experimentation on my part of which drinks you can keep well enough in a freezer. None of these amalgamates were made recently. Actually, I think most of them were made like either a month ago or like 3 weeks ago when I workshopped this cocktail originally, and I kept them in the freezer until I found a reason to keep them out of the freezer. Evidently, Adios Motherfucker is a cocktail that turns into slush if you keep it in the freezer. Felt very fitting for Snowdrake's mother, so I kind of kept her that way. Lemon Drops will keep in the freezer without freezing, and so will Mind Erasers when kept in the freezer. Endogeny, Salty Dogs, or Reaper Birds, Jungle Birds will become a sort of hard slush, so if you're trying to batch those ahead of time, you can keep them in the freezer, but you're going to have to let them thaw a little bit first if you want to like do any sort of measuring and whatnot with them. This is a really cool experiment on my part, and something that I was really happy to put together all in the end, despite the fact that everything kind of tastes like, you know, more or less indistinguishable from each other. Firewolfie says, I don't drink alcohol, but this drink makes me wish I did. It is very, very sweet. If your taste is anything like mine, I really like subtle flavors that work together in a way that is almost otherworldly. This is not otherworldly. This is very, very sweet. That's not my particular flavor palette. If that's your flavor palette, then by all means, if you like coffee and you like orange flavor and you like, what else is in there? Rum as well, I would suggest this one. This is very similar to like a rum and Coke. If instead of Coke, you use does cinnamon Coca-Cola exist? Because if it did exist, this tastes very similar to that, but also you've got orange juice in there and some lemon juice and coffee. It's interesting. It's an interesting one. That Sans cup is cursed. This Sans cup is quite literally falling apart. I think his mouth fell off. Oh my God. Come on, Sans, buddy. There we go. There we go. Here, his smile's just a little cockeyed. What's wrong, SCP? Look at that little guy. Look at the guy. Anyways, so that's pretty much all the background that I can give on Amalgamate. It is a cocktail that combines a bunch of other cocktails together in a way that you can't distinguish what the original ingredients are. In total, the one last thing that I will share is if you wanted to make this drink without batching your cocktails, I'll share with you how to make that. I need to pull up my notes because this is a bit of... It's mathematical. Let me see here. I've got... Here we go. Let me see. Come on, Amalgamate. Let me pull up my cheat sheet. Evidently, if you wanted to create the Amalgamate all on your own, in a single sitting, if you really wanted to, you're going to combine, over ice just like this, the following spirits. 1.5 ounces, or 44 milliliters of vodka, 1 1/3 teaspoon of tequila blanco, gin, and white rum, 2 teaspoons, or about 10 milliliters of dark rum. You'll also add the following liqueurs. 1/2 ounce or 15 milliliter of coffee liqueur, 1/4 ounce or 7 milliliters of orange liqueur, and 1 1/3 teaspoon or 6.5 milliliters of blue curacao, and 2/3 of a teaspoon or 3 milliliters of Campari. Then you'll also add the following juices. 1/2 ounce or 15 milliliters of lemon juice, and 2 teaspoons or 10 milliliters of lime juice, grapefruit juice, and pineapple juice. Then you'll add the following adjustments. 3/4 ounce or 22 milliliters of a rich simple syrup, which is a 2-to-1 ratio of sugar to water by weight, and then 2 drops of saline solution, which itself is a 1-to-1 ratio of salt and water together, again, by weight. If you really had to, that's how you would do it. And in case that felt really specific and oddly calculus-based, no worries. At some point, they will show up on the blog, which I am very open about. I am very behind on. I'm trying to get better at that. SCP says, that is unsettling. The Sans drink or everything? I'll accept both answers. Fire Wolfie saying, the best kind of drink the mystery drink. I mean, some people don't really want to taste the alcohol that goes on the inside. If anything, this is not as appealing to a drinker like that, like a Long Island iced tea is, where you can't taste anything. The dark rum is a part of the Reaper Bird, and the dark rum that I used is a Myers' rum, which has a very, very potent molasses flavor to it. It is very distinct, and it's a slight bit metallic too, but it does not play around when you put it in a drink, and if you put it in, it happens. What about Glide? I don't think Glide is an amalgamate, but there's no drink for Glide, despite the fact that I think, Glide is the enemy that is dedicated to all the Kickstarter backers, which I never actually faced when I played Undertale, unfortunately. Who knew? So what I'll do is I'm gonna put all these amalgamates over here. I'll put them all in the background, and we'll do a little roundup of where we've been. He's a secret. He is a secret. But you can find him in the waterfall. For that, I will reveal the secret. So let's put these all together and do a little roundup of where we went. We started with Papyrus, and then we talked to Sans, as cursed as he might be. We also had Flowey, who's been lurking in the background this entire time, totally not harboring any ill intent. Then we had Dark, Darker, Yet Darker. Let's do a little roundup. Ooh, you can find him by walking in circles for 3 minutes at a particular... Oh, he's in Snowden. I never actually faced him, so... We do cocktail recipes with correction around here. Y'all, I am feeling the teensy bit tipsy, so in case I'm slurring my words, you made it to the end. Congratulations. And it didn't even take... We're not even at the 2-hour mark. We went through these so quickly. All right. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys a rundown of exactly what we covered. A little summary. Recipe 1. Let's go back to Papyrus. So Papyrus and his brother Sans, you're looking a little odd there. Papyrus is made based off of the joke Papyrus. It completely consumed me when I was trying to create this cocktail. Papyrus is made with the following recipe. I was going to say, I don't need to actually walk through the recipe now, because if I show you it, I don't need to spend all the time talking about it. So that's how you make Papyrus. It is combining clarified papaya juice together with white rum and oat milk orgeat, creme de cacao, and lemon juice, all shaken and double strained into a glass that bears his resemblance, which, unlike Sans, is not falling apart, which is a very, very good thing. Wolfie asks, I keep wanting to call you Fire Flowey. I don't know why. I apologize for that. Asks what my favorite monster is. My favorite monster? Jerry. I hate that guy. I hate that guy, but I also love that guy. So I'll just pick Jerry, because that's a terrible answer. So this I already told you what Papyrus is, so that's easy. The next cocktail that we had this evening is Sans. Sans was based off of the joke that Sans drinks ketchup. So this actually uses tomato water combined with soju, which is a rice-based spirit distilled in Korea, combined with some honey syrup and some Greek yogurt. Oddly enough, Sans and Papyrus more or less look very similar, and they looked a lot less transparent when they were all mixed together. You should probably drink them quickly before they separate. They looked very similar, but they have completely different flavor palettes. Sans, on the one hand, is floral with a light sweetness. Papyrus, on the other hand, is sweet with heavy notes of papaya, obviously, and also some chocolate as well. That's been balanced out with a couple other ingredients as well that kind of go well together in almost a floral way, reminiscent of Sans, but not quite. And then we had Flowey. I gotta get some key commands for these so I don't just have to keep typing these things all over again. Flowey, the cocktail that you see in the middle, was actually created based off of an experiment that I did by creating my own Dandelion Liquor. Flowey is a golden flower. He says howdy. When I think of a golden flower, I thought instantly of a dandelion. So I tried to forge some dandelions and found that they all tasted terrible. So then I used some dandelion tea as well as a couple of other ingredients to create this dandelion spirit, which I used to build the Flowey cocktail using also Pisco and Limoncello. The whole flavor palette was rather lemon-like. So in creating that illusion, not even illusion, but keeping within those flavor palettes, Flowey's petals in this case are lemon peels, and I probably could have done a better job presenting it for this case, but I'll admit, I kind of came up with the garnish and tried it one time and was like, yeah, this'll work. And was I wrong? I underestimated that flower. Underestimated that flower indeed. The next cocktail that we had was darker, yet darker. This is a dark cocktail. It's not the darkest cocktail. It's not like it used black vodka. It's not like it used black water that had been frozen, but I created this cocktail by going into my bar collection and taking out every single dark spirit and tried combining them in a way that tasted pretty good. And I wound up coming up with this recipe up here that uses a combination of coffee liqueur, a coffee ice cube, and Amaro from Baltimore, Maryland, Cynar, Jägermeister, and cherry liqueur, and it combines it together in such a way that it gives a nice flavor that's a little hard to piece apart, but has strong notes of coffee, cherry, and bitterness. And not a super potent bitterness either, like you would if you were to use, let's say, a Fernet Branca. That particular Fernet-style Amaro, the Baltimore, which I have a bottle of back here, fit perfectly into this because it is a high-proof Amaro, Fernet-style, it is a high-proof Fernet-style Amaro with subtle flavors that like to play well with other flavors, unlike Fernet Branca, which for some reason has to be the center of the show wherever you go. Firewolfie is saying, it kind of looks like Flowey has some sort of anime haircut. I'll admit, Flowey kind of looks like he's got, like, ponytails. And I would think, unless you were to look at this from the top, this is not the best experience in terms of Flowey. I gave it my best shot, and that's what I was able to come up with. The final recipe, which I was able to share with y'all this evening, was the Amalgamate. If you can see right here, there are a number of different Amalgamate cocktails that are hiding behind the other cocktails, which were all combined to create this one right here. The Amalgamate cocktail's ingredients are actually other cocktails themselves. Let's see, I'll do it from the top. Snowdrake's Mother is a batched Adios Motherfucker cocktail, which contains a bunch of spirits in it, as well as lime juice, lemon juice, simple syrup, and blue curacao, which gives it that characteristic blue color. This can be kept in the freezer, and it'll turn into a slush. The lemon bread cocktail is actually a lemon drop, and that is created by combining lemon juice with some vodka and some simple syrup. This can be kept in your freezer more or less indefinitely. You'll just need to shake it up if you were to take it out and try to serve it. The Endogeny cocktail, which is the orange one hiding back here, is actually a salty dog cocktail, which combines vodka with grapefruit juice and a bit of salt. If you add too much, you might as well mix it with something else anyway, because salty water, at least in my opinion, doesn't taste super good. This one does not keep in the freezer, it will freeze. So I would recommend keeping it in the refrigerator if you batch it. The Reaper Bird cocktail is actually a Jungle Bird cocktail, which has a number of ingredients in it, including dark rum, pineapple juice, lime juice, Campari. I don't think I might be forgetting something there, but that's what I've got off the top of my head. This also, I wouldn't recommend freezing. It becomes pretty solid and it might break the glass that you put it in, so I would recommend keeping that in the freezer, or the refrigerator, or if you do put it in the freezer, smaller containers. Containers with room to grow inside of them. And then finally, we've got the Memory Head, which is actually a mind eraser cocktail, which is equal parts vodka and coffee liqueur, but take out all of the club soda. There needs to be no club soda in that. If you're freezing it, it would just go flat anyways, so. It's called a lemon drop because you'll drop it if you drink too much. Nice one. I mean, honestly, if you'll drink it, I would think, actually, you'll be dropping Snowdrake's mom on the ground onto a crack and then breaking her back or something. Because this is just spirit, 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 juice, juice, simple. And that's it. It's just a bunch of stuff in it. It's kind of like a blue Long Island iced tea with other stuff in it. And honestly, that's all I've got for y'all this evening. This is all the cocktails that I have prepared, at least right now, for Undertale, based off of the entire playthrough that I've just been able to go through and had the pleasure of joining with the rest of y'all. We completed a True Pacifist run and a Genocide run, and in the midst I got to play a little bit of Undertale Yellow too, which is actually a lot of fun. I was not expecting to come up with a drink for that one as well. In case you missed the first cocktail stream with drinks inspired by Undertale, we've also got recipes for Toriel and Determination and Alfie's and Undine, I believe, are the 4 recipes that we have so far. Those were also very fun to make. Everything will eventually show up on the blog website. I'll link it in the description of stuff. It's not done yet. I'm really behind on things, but that was a lot of fun. And I'm finally putting Undertale behind us, and as we proceed into next week, I'll be playing a completely different series and coming up with new cocktail drinks inspired by the game. Specifically, I have the pleasure of playing Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which I've never actually played before. So I'm looking forward to it. And I hope that you'll join me for that occasion when we get there. So thanks everybody so much for watching. That's all I've got for y'all this evening. So, we made it to the bitter end. We did it, everybody. Have I played Deltarune yet, asks Firewolfie. I have not. I have been listening to the soundtrack of Deltarune, but I have not yet had the pleasure to go through and actually play the game. I think, what is it? Chapters 1 and 2 are out. Chapters 3 and 4 are being worked on. I'm a binge player, so I might just wait the next 3 or 4 years to play Deltarune for all I know. Hopefully at that point, will be a much better and much more skilled mixologist by that point, and try not to be combining a bunch of drinks together just for something that tastes sweet and unsatisfying. Share that with you. Share it with your friends. Honestly, don't drink the Amalgamate cocktail on its own. I would suggest sharing that with people. It kind of looks green now. Thank you, kid. You made it to the bitter end. And apparently, when you make it to the bitter end, you suckle upon very sweet cocktails. I'm not a huge fan of the Amalgamate, but it got the point across. If you missed it, if you layer things on top of each other, it looks a lot cooler. I'll be taking photos and stuff. That's what I'll plan on be doing tomorrow. So everybody out there, thank you so much for joining along and coming. And oh my God, I'm a little tipsy. Excuse me, y'all. Thank you all for getting to the bitter end. This was my bar, Cameron's Bar with an X, and I came up with a bunch of cocktails inspired by Undertale. I think there's a total of 5 plus 4 plus 5. I think there's 10. I think we have 10 full recipes. And there were a bunch of others that I did along the way. What I'll normally do is provide for y'all a cocktail recipe before the show actually starts. And on Monday, you can expect another one. And I'll completely erase this logo and put up Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I'm looking forward to it. I have some of my work cut out for me this weekend. This would be great. So much editing, photo shoots, and significantly less drinking. It'll be great. I see Emily saying good night. I see kids saying, I came because of the Zelda tweet, which came out, about a minute ago. There we go. We ended just on time. What do you know? Well, to everybody out there, thanks for joining along. If you've made any of these recipes yourself, by all means, I'm very open to feedback. And if you also, I am very interested, if you also come up with recipes, whether food or drink related, inspired by the games that you play, hit me up. I know I'm not alone. I know I am not. To everybody out there, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again on Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. sharp, where I'll give another cocktail for you. Probably not an original recipe, but we will be doing games, and we'll enjoy it. So to everybody out there, if the moon is shining where you are, have a wonderful rest of your night. If the sun is shining, have a wonderful rest of your morning. If there is a combined cocktail, including a bunch of others in your future, it's going to be a great day. I'm sure of it. Until then, y'all, bye!